What's up guys, it's me Uncle B. So not too long ago, me and Samuel were sitting back talking about Halo Infinite and we were saying, you know what, I'd love to see this map return for Halo Infinite, and then it hit me. Why don't we go and compile a list of the top 10 Halo maps we want to return and we feel would be best for Halo Infinite. And I want to tell you now, this was not an easy list to make. The short list was literally about 30 maps, and I thought, damn, we gotta cut this down, and even down to the wire, even down to recording this video, there are a few maps which have just been switched around just because I feel that they would be better suited for Halo Infinite. Now I'm going to be honest with you guys, the 10 which I've picked are really the ones which I want the most, so I'm not going to be ordering them in a list of I want this one more than this one. Basically, if a map appears earlier on in a list, do not think that it's got more priority than something which might appear midway through the video or at the end of the video. I'm going to be trying to name the maps in order of appearance, so Halo 1, then Halo 2, and so on so on. And please remember for this list, this is not my favourite maps, that's a completely different list entirely. These are just the maps which I feel would be best suited for Halo Infinite. With that all said and done, let's get into number 1 on this list. So starting off with this list, I feel that for number 1 we should have Blood Gulch. So Blood Gulch is a classical map first introduced into Halo 1, and well, it's basically been a fan favourite and had multiple machinimas including the RVB machinima take place. But why do I think that this would be good for Halo Infinite? Well, I think that we need a good big open map for BTB which is going to be good for vehicles. I feel that if we was going to pick a version of Blood Gulch, we should pick the Forge World version, mostly because that would mean we have the entirety of Forge World, and that's kind of like my little map cheat for this list. Just think of it as 2 for 1 stone, but I do think Blood Gulch is a great map. The cave systems are awesome, the little power-ups that you can get, the sniper rifle control, all the little weapons on it and all the different controls that you can get, it would be absolutely fantastic. The Halo 2 anniversary version of Blood Gulch is also good, but I would like to see the Reach one for previously mentioned reasons. Moving on to Halo 2, and at number 2 on this list we have got Zanzibar. Now Zanzibar is actually one of my favourite maps, I love it for Halo 2 anniversary, and the reason that it actually made this list is pretty simple. I feel that Zanzibar is a fan favourite map, so bringing it back would please a lot of fans, but I also think that the grappling hook could be optimised really well on this map. Being able to grab onto the turbine, quickly pull yourself up to the top of the map to get to a vantage point, really I feel that would be really good, and combining that with a few of the equipment pieces which was done in Halo 3, well, I think that would just be awesome to see. If I was going to pick what version though, I'd pick the Halo 2 anniversary version, mostly because we've got all the working levers to kind of like go down and smash those up, so it would be really awesome to see. Now Zanzibar was just added to this list, in fact it actually knocked out Lockout, which I really feel bad about doing because Lockout is one of the fan favourite maps. So Lockout isn't going to be on the list, it's an honourable mention to Lockout, but I just felt that Zanzibar was a bit more iconic, and I also felt that Zanzibar had a bit more to it as well. But in at number 3, this is probably one of my favourites, we have Terminal. Now Terminal was actually built from the concept art of the early Halo 2 campaign, and I just love Terminal so much. It's such an underrated map, it has not been remastered since, and I don't know why. Honestly, this is just such an awesome map. I'd like to see what would happen if you grapple onto a train, like that would be pretty insane actually thinking about it. But I do like how it was remade in Halo 5 Forge, it was really fun for that version, and you know what, I would just love to see it again. I want to play around with the trains. I think with the trains added so much as just having an obstacle which could just come out of nowhere and hit you, and plus it's a really good BTB map. I feel that it would be really fun to be able to use this. There's so many different ways that you could fight. It's not a classical kind of BTB map, but at the same time I feel that it would be really great to have this just return, because you know what, it's paying homage to some of the classical Halo games, and also the trains. The trains are really fun. Now in at number 4, this is actually a pretty strange pick. It's a bit of a weird one, I'm going to be honest. It is Uplift from Halo 2. Now you might be saying, what the hell's Uplift? I've never heard of this map. It's a really obscure BTB map, it could be used for 4v4 I suppose, but I do actually think that this would be a brilliant map to bring in to Halo Infinite. I'm sure some Halo 5 fans might recognise this from Forge, which is kind of where I got the idea from, but it would just be really awesome to see Uplift to make a return. I think this would be a pretty simple BTB map, but I also think there's a lot of things you could try out. Maybe give it the anniversary treatment, so make it so that maybe the big forward structure can actually like fire a beam or something, which changes the map a little bit. Who knows, give it something, give it some pizzazz, and I really think that it would be a good pick. Now I know what some people are saying, they're saying, hey, where's all the 4v4 maps? Well, don't worry, we've got one, another Halo 2 pick. It is Ivory Tower, also known as Reflection. Reflection to me is one of the most fun maps to play on Halo Reach, mostly because of the elevator. The entire map seems to rotate around that high point on the map, and there's multiple multiple ways that you can go about attacking it. I feel that using something like a grappling hook to jump up and quickly ambush enemies would be fun as well, but I also think that it's such a cool map, such a cool little thing to do, and it's also cool to pay homage to Halo Reach and also to Halo 2. I think there's so many things that can be done with this map. Imagine using a grappling hook to get to some high areas, or imagine locking yourself in a corridor, basically using the shield to quickly pin down enemies and hold up while you regroup and push onwards. I think it's a good map, and I think that a lot of people might be a little bit upset with this pick. They might have wanted something else, but at the same time I think it's a good pick, and with a little bit of reworking it could be brilliant for Halo Infinite. But let's move away from Halo 2 and go into Halo 3. Now this is a map which I didn't personally enjoy too much, but I feel it would be good for Halo Infinite. It is Citadel. Now I'm going to be honest, I didn't like Citadel too much, but I cannot deny the fact that this would be a pretty decent map for Halo Infinite. Acting as a close range 4v4 map, I feel that Citadel would be pretty damn good. And also this is one of the maps which quickly knocked something else off, which was High Ground. I wanted to put High Ground on the list, but now it's an honourable mention, mostly because we have Zanzibar, and I don't feel that having both of these maps would be warranted, mostly because, well, they're a bit strange and they have a very similar feel. Citadel is a classical Halo 3 map, and I'm sure that there'll be multiple people who are happy to have it back. I wouldn't be too happy to see it, but I would understand why it would be in Halo Infinite, and I think that's what this list is all about. I think it could fit the feel, and you know what, why not? Moving on to the next map, also another Halo 3 one, it is Standoff. So why Standoff? Well, I think Standoff is a pretty iconic Halo map. The "ah shit, here we go again" memes when loading into this map always comes up in my mind. I feel that this map quite literally captures the mind of trench warfare, quickly darting over hills, protecting your base, trying to shoot down at enemies. You know what, it would be really fun to see this as a BTB map return, and you know what, it might even be decent for 4v4, however I'm not too sure on that one. Personally, I would love to see it return. I liked the base combat, I liked what they did in Halo 5 by making it so if you do get in the base you can press a button and all the base unlocks. I would love to see this map return, but it's up to 343 Industries. Its fate is in its hands. All I can say is, I think it should make the list. Moving on to Halo Reach, we have got a pretty interesting pick. Not many people would think of this one, but it's actually Highlands. There's a lot of BTB maps on this, but I guess they're just the most iconic. For me, Highlands is a very interesting map for the following reasons. I think the reason why I love Highlands is because it's basically the best BTB map in Reach in my opinion. I feel that getting a remaster for this would be absolutely fantastic, mostly because of the two lanes which you've got on the left and the right which both teams can enter, and just seeing how the enemies will actually fight over these bases with the teleporters and also the main middle lane where the main vehicles can go. I think that it's good for snipers to rotate around the base and try and get the other sniper before they get them, and it's also cool if you have a tank or something or a Ghost Warthog, especially in the heavies mode, where they can basically go around the middle and try and pick off enemies. Really, this map just has it all, and it's so much fun to me. If Blood Gulch wasn't going to make it, I'd love to see this one return, because it's kind of like an alteration on Blood Gulch with a lot more cover. This is just one of my favourite BTB maps, but let's move on to the next Halo game. Now unfortunately for Halo 4 there weren't actually any maps which I thought was really stand out and should be added, and the same actually happens for Halo 5, but there were two Forge maps which I thought were too good to pass up on. Well, maybe that's a lie. There were multiple honourable mentions for Forge maps on Halo 5 because the forging is so good in that game, but ultimately I had to narrow it down to two. So in at number 9 we have got the Forge map Unearthed. Now Unearthed is a bit of an obscure pick because a lot of people think, huh? Unearthed? Now this was the Forge map which had a massive construction site in the middle and it was all in this big crater. It had wasps on either side, and you know what? It was really enjoyable. You could basically fight on the ground at the excavation site, which could be interesting if we added a few more caves or maybe added a few more vehicles to the map. But the reason I like this map is because there's two grav cannons on either side which allow you to quickly jump up and get control of the middle. You're basically fighting on platforms with wasps trying to attack you from all the sides, and also the enemy on the other side of a massive platform. If you can take control of this area, then you can start shooting down at enemies, and you know what, it was a really fun map, especially if you was in a wasp. I personally wanted to see this have a little bit more attention, but unfortunately it got taken out of rotation really quick, which was, thinking about it, pretty strange. But nonetheless, I'd love to see it get a 343 remaster and maybe add a few more things, like actually making so the drill can move over and damage some of the cliffs, which can maybe, I don't know, drop rocks on the enemy. I mean, could you imagine the enemies sitting in their base and suddenly an avalanche comes and crushes them? That would just be awesome to see. But moving on to number 10, this is actually one of the ones I really want to see because it never got the full attention it deserved. It is Dispelled. Dispelled is one of my all-time favourite BTB maps, and I know there has been quite a few BTB maps on this list, and I do apologise for that, I'm a BTB player, but I do love Dispelled and I think you'll love it as well. Dispelled is a brilliant map with two forerunner bases, light bridges, and loads of grassy terrains and caves for you to be able to fight in. It's brilliant to have a wasp, a tank, and all other manners of vehicles to be able to play on this map. I think if this got the 343 treatment, we could probably make it so the light bridges could be activated or deactivated, and maybe add a few parts in the game where if maybe a tank's going over the bridge, you could deactivate the bridge and make the tank fall into a pit, kind of like in Halo Wars. It would be ridiculously fun to see, and I really hope they decide to add something like this, because Dispelled was one of my favourite maps and it never got the attention which it deserved. But anyway guys, that's about it. What maps would you like to see? Please do not forget to leave a comment down below and leave a like if you made it this far into the video. There are so many honourable mentions that I might make a second video talking about them just because, well, why not? So make sure you leave a like on this video if you want to see that, and do not forget to subscribe so you will not miss that video. Thanks for watching guys, and we will see you in the next video. Peace out, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.